Oh, we're recording. I'm sorry. I was waiting for it to begin, and it has begun. Okay, so we are going to talk now about count and non-count nouns and the difference between some and any. So let's start with count and non-count nouns. Now, you probably know what count means. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You can count things, you can count people, right? So there's some nouns that we can count. Most of the time, if we count them and there's more than one, there are two or more, we add an S, except for those irregular plural nouns. So let's look at some examples. You can count books, you can count pencils, you can count students, you can count words. Now here's an exception. You can count children. So one child, two what? Children, 3 children, 4 children, right? We can count people. One what? Person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, right? And of course we can count, can you see that okay? Dollars, right? So $1, $2, $3, okay? Now, there are some nouns, and we, in English, we consider them difficult, if not impossible, to count. Okay, so one of them is hair. Now, if I ask you, come and count the hairs on my head, right? I think you would get frustrated in about 30 seconds, right? So hair is generally means usually impossible to count. Now, what happens if you go to a restaurant? This happens sometimes. Maybe you order a bowl of ice cream, and then you see just one of these or two of these, right? You might say to the manager, you might complain, hey, excuse me, there are 2 hairs with an S. There are 2 hairs in my ice cream. So in that case, you can count it. But if hair is on somebody's head, if you go to the barber shop, you go to the hairdresser, and they cut your hair, and there's hair all over the floor, it's not very easy to count. So we think of it as non-count. Okay, water is something that's pretty hard to count. I have some water right here. Oh, actually, it's juice, but juice is just water, right? I have some juice in here, right? And if I pour it on the table and I say count it, if I pour it on the table and say count the juice, count the water, it's impossible. Okay, and plus it'll just make a mess. Ice cream is impossible to count. Now, when you go to an ice cream shop, maybe you order some ice cream. Okay, you might order scoops. So the big spoon is called a scoop. So you might order 2 scoops of ice cream, 3 scoops of ice cream, 1 scoop, no S, of ice cream. Okay, but ice cream in general, if I buy some ice cream from the store and I leave it in my car in the hot summer and forget about it, right? If I go back, there's just going to be melted ice cream, impossible to count. Okay, yogurt. If you know what that is, also impossible to count. You can count a container of yogurt, right? He ate 3 containers of yogurt yesterday. Okay, but if I take the yogurt out of the container and just pour it on the table and I say count it, it's just a big mess. Okay, fruit is another good example of a non-count noun. Remember, fruit could be apples, it could be bananas, it could be oranges, right? What if I cut a bunch of apples, cut a bunch of bananas, cut a bunch of oranges, and put them all together, and I say count the fruit? Well, it's a little bit hard to do that. Okay, you can count the pieces: 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces of fruit. Okay, rice is also something that we think of as difficult or impossible to count. Okay, now if the rice is not cooked, Okay, you can pick up a piece or two pieces of rice. We usually call that a grain, grain, a grain of rice. Okay, but once you cook the rice and the rice is all stuck together, it's really impossible or very difficult to count it. Okay, now here's a funny one. A lot of students are confused with this one. Can I count money? Is it possible to count money? And the answer is yes and no. Okay, so if you have a job someday, maybe you work in a store or a restaurant, and the boss might say, "Hey, can you count the money? Can you count the money that we made today?" I don't want you to say, "No, no, no," because money is a non-count noun. Okay, what the boss means, of course, is count the dollars, count the cents, $1, $2, $3. We don't say one money, two monies, three monies, right? $1, $2, $3, 1 peso, 2 pesos, three, right? Okay, so money is generally not countable. Okay, I want to talk about the difference between some and any. Some and any. So if you look over here, I've written some sentences for you. This one says, I need some money. Can you relate? I need some money too. Okay, I'll give you my address at the end of this video. You can send me your money. I need some money. Okay, so we use the word some if it's affirmative or if it's positive. Okay, now this is true for me as well. I don't have any money. So you notice this one's negative. So if it's negative, we use the word any. Okay? Do you have, now here's a question, do you have any money? Do you have any money? I don't say, do you have some money? I don't say, I don't have some money. I say any if it's a negative or if it's a question. But if it's affirmative, I use the word some. Okay, this works for countable nouns as well. So maybe if you are new to your school, right, you don't know anyone, I need some friends, right? One friend, two friends, three friends. I need some friends, and we use the plural. Okay, I don't have any friends. Do you have any friends? It's not a very nice question, but you might ask that. Do you have any friends? So it works for those count nouns, and it works for non-count nouns, right? I need some books. Do you have any books? I don't have any books, right? Maybe some bald people say, I need some hair. Do you have any hair? I don't have any hair. I have some hair. Okay, the other thing, I want to show you a couple sentences. Let's see if these are good or not. This one says, he likes an apple. Now this person is talking about the fruit, apple. Okay, and usually what we do when we talk about likes and dislikes, oops, can you see it? Instead of saying he likes an apple, we make it just a plural noun. He likes apples. He likes apples. And then over here, he doesn't like a rice. Now rice is not countable, so we're not going to use a, right? Rice is non-count. Okay, so if it's countable, we're going to add an S. We're not going to use an article. We're not going to use a or n or the. Okay, over here we're just going to not use an article and just use the plural non-count noun. All right, hope you learned something, and keep learning.